it again. Oh, how do I always mute myself? Every single time I mute myself. Why? Right, I'm not going to go and start again. This is the starter. I'm going to say hello to Leo and I'm going to say hello to Alicia and anyone else who is here. I'm sorry for being on mute for the start. This is annoying. You should hopefully be able to hear me now. And I will start seeing things just mocking me. This is ridiculous. You know what? I'm going to say hello again. Look, hello, good morning. I'm so sorry for the bit where I was on mute. I thought I'd unmuted before I started playing. Clearly, I hadn't. It's normally the first thing I do. I've got a big thing saying, must unmute. So, this is the bit with sound. Welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you're coming back, and welcome here. Don't normally mute at the start, I promise you. There's been a few videos, but I don't normally do it. We're going to be looking today at multiplying by decimals, multiplying by 0.1, multiplying by 0.01, and how the division of those numbers works as well. Hopefully you'll learn something. There's a link in the description below to a worksheet you can then do. And in that worksheet, there's some questions that we'll hopefully have covered in this lesson. So let's go straight in, because I've already done the introduction and I don't want to annoy anyone. Here's the starter. Now, I did say which is biggest, which one is the smallest. And it actually turns out I was being horrible to you because they're all the same. Every single one of these is actually the same number. They're just different ways. No, they're not actually. Because of an inputting error, 0.06 times 0.6 is actually 0.036. So that one would be the biggest one, because it was meant to be 0.1, but I put 0.6. So that one is the biggest one. It is secretly the biggest one. The other three are all the same, 0.006. 6 over 1,000 and 6 times 0.001 are all 0.006. But the other one is 0.0036. So that one will be the smallest. No, M is probably Max, who's in my class. The work you're doing, thing you just do as much as you can. Hopefully finish the first page. And if you can get on to question 11 beyond, then well done. But you just do as much as you can in the next 10-15 minutes. Okay. So we're going to move on from there. Straight into... Here's a chance to send you me your work. If you've done the work from the video and you want me to see what work you've been doing or correct anything, you can get in touch with me on Facebook page for your parents, or you can email me directly and to show me any work or pictures you want to show me. I've kept that algebra substitution for so long, I don't know why. I do need to remember to get rid of that. So, I should be able to appear on your screen now. Ta-da! I think I can centralise myself, but I think I'm okay there. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is what the difference, or what 0.1 is actually doing to our number. Because when we're going to multiply by 0.1, it's just going to shift. The digits will stay the same. Let me show you what I mean. So, in this first example, 634 has stayed as 634, but the 0.1 has just shifted and made it smaller. It's the first time we come across multiplying by a number to make it smaller. Because normally multiplying makes things bigger. But when we're using 0.1 or any number but less than 1, any decimals that are less than 1, we actually make the number smaller. So you can see the digits stay the same. But this one, 6.34, has gone to 0.634. See how the digits are the same, still 634, but because this one started with 2 decimal places, it's now got 3. Multiplying by 0.1 basically puts in an extra decimal, but it doesn't change the number, it doesn't add anything in, it shifts the number along. But when it gets to the front, there's nowhere left to go, so it has to introduce a 0 in front of the 6. This one, 0.6 times 0.1, it just needs to go smaller, so it goes to 0.06. Each time, the times it by 0.1 would just make it smaller. Therefore, a little question at the bottom, what might dividing by 0.1 do? Interesting idea. Put something in the chat, or if you're coming back to this, put something in the description. What do you think dividing by 0.1 is going to do? I will obviously respond to anyone who's got any interesting things to say about it. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is, these are going to fade away, and then we're going to look at this sort of question. Now, we can work with any number by multiplying by 0.1, and I'm going to jump across to my screen where I should be able to do a live question just like we've just been talking about. So we need a random number. For example, 784 times 0.1. In the live chat, you've got about 5 seconds to say what you think. Well, it's not, it's at least 9 seconds I have to wait because I have to wait and see what you think the answer to that question is. What's it going to do to it? There we go. Hi Eddie, nice to see you. You are absolutely right. 0.1 is the same as 1/10. And divide by 0.1, 1 is the same as times it by 10. 78.4, we've got an answer. Oh, I've just realised I'm showing you my screen, aren't I? Because that's how it works. So 78.4, that's why I need to have the screen on the other side so I can see it in front of me. We then have 78.4. Same 3 digits, 1, 2, 3, but the point introduces 1 decimal place. So the next one I'd like you to do is what's going to happen with 29.76 times 0.1. Now, the way I'm going to get around this, I'm going to jump out of that screen for a second so that I'm there, disappear from that screen, so I've gone, move my other screen over so I can see what you're all writing to me. It's all complicated, this stuff that we have to do. Then coming back, sharing my screen, and you should now all be able to see. Da-da! And you can all see that. Excellent, so I've fixed it. So we've got some answers. Logan's with us again today. He's got 2.976, and I think he's about right there, because we've got 2 decimals, and then the extra one makes it up to 3. So the 0.1 will always add an extra decimal back into the PowerPoint. So the next thing we want to talk about is going to be how we can use number facts without doing any questions. So we actually can, without doing any calculations, we can use a fact that's presented to us, and this is what the questions in the description below are going to be like. Let me show you what that's like. So we're told that 34 times 49 is 1666. And I say to you, okay, well in that case, it must be the case that 3.4 times 4.9, notice how all I've done here is copy the same digits down as in the fact. And we can say, well in that case, there's 2 decimals in this question. The 4 comes after the point, and the 9 comes after the point. So the numbers that come after the points, there's 2 of them, so there must be 2 in the answer. This one, look, still 34 and 49, so we're going to use the same fact, but this time there are 3 decimals in the 0.049 and none in the 34, so we need 3 decimals in our answer, so it's 1.666. In this case, we've got a division. What? We haven't talked about division, but actually, all we're doing is, if you look at our number fact, what's 1666 divided by 34 should leave us with 49. And when you're dividing, you cancel out decimals rather than adding them all together. So we start with 2, the 6 and the 6, but then when we divide by the 0.34, we lose those 2. So we start with 0.66 and lose 2. I'm going to do another question like this in a minute, and it equals 49. So if we go straight over to where I was doing some questions, and we do a couple more, what about if we're given the number fact at the top of the screen that 72 times by 97 equals 72 times 97 is 6984. There's our fact. And you're presented with that fact, so we don't need to do any calculations. And the question says, well, in that case, what is 7.2 times 9.7? So the first thing you're going to do is go, okay, well, I've got 1 decimal there and 1 decimal there. So that is going to be 2 decimal places in my answer. Therefore, I'm going to go 6984 again, just like here, look. But I'm going to put 2 decimals in the answer. So it's going to give us an answer of 69.84. Because we need to make sure that the decimal point is in the right place. And that is how we can use that number fact. Well done, Logan. Now the next one, we've got, what about 0.72 times 0.097? Well, when we count up our decimals, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So when I write in my 6984, I need to go from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to have to put another 0, then a point, and then 0 point. So notice how near here I've got 5 decimals after the point, and so have I got here. 3 there, 2 there. That makes 5 decimal places. We can also talk about division. Remember I said about division? What about 69.84 divided by 9.7? We talked about the fact that if that's the answer to a multiplication, if we work it backwards with the times 9.7, if we divide by that, the answer must be 7.2. We know they're the digits, but how many decimals? Well, in this scenario, we start with 3, and then we cancel one. Division will cancel decimals rather than adding new ones. So 2 decimals, we lose 1, so it's going to have 1 decimal in the answer, so it must equal 7.2. Because when you're dividing, it'll be 2, and you cancel down the decimals, which is why the answer here is 7.2. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. And the next thing I need to do is switch back to the PowerPoint. It's complicated. I've got 4 different screens open. So, the last thing I want to do is how can we estimate questions? So, how can we estimate questions and be able to work out what the answer is? So, this is what we're going to talk about here. How can we estimate 3.2 times 7.4, then work it out? So we need to go back over to the whiteboard, but I'm going to bring the question with me. So I did say I would come back over to the whiteboard and bring the question. Here's the whiteboard, and here's the question. So the first thing to realise is that the word estimate is an important word, but it's important to understand what it means. You mustn't get the right answer when you estimate, so we're going to turn that into 3, because 3.2 rounds to 3. We're going to turn that into 7, because 7.4 rounds to 7. 3 times 7, so it's approximately equals, this is this wavy equals, to 21. When it says we estimate, now we're going to work it out, and we should get a number that's close to 21. So we're going to do 32 times 74. Notice my decimals they've flown the coop, they've disappeared. We don't know where they've gone. We do a normal multiplication, 74 times 32. Now, if you're not sure on multiplication with 2 numbers like that, practice it. There are videos on my channel on how to do this. So I've got times 2 and times 30. 2 4s are 8, 2 7s are 14. So there's I've got 148 from. Because we're times by 30, we start with a 0. That's what comes from being times 30. Now we're going to do 3 4s are 12. 3 7s are 21, plus the 1 is 22. And the final stage is to add everything together. 8, 6, 3, 2. So we know we've got 2, 3, 6, 8. However, we don't want to do that. We want to do 3.2 and 7.4. So this is where we use what we've just learnt. There's 1 decimal place there, and there's 1 here. So we need to have 2 in our answer, meaning the answer is 23.68, which I hope you agree is not too far away from 21. Therefore, the estimate informed us that where it would be, because if we'd have put the answer by accident of 236.8, we'd have gone, oh, wait a minute, 21 is miles away. I must have gone wrong. I must not have the decimal in the right place. So the estimating helps us to see where the decimal should be and not get it wrong. Okay? That is how we do those questions. So hopefully today you have learnt or consolidated, if you already knew, how to do those. First of all, let's go back to Mr. Harris. So first thing we've learned today is that multiplying by 0.1 makes numbers 1 size smaller, 1 factor of 10 smaller. Dividing by 0.1 makes it 1 size of the factor or 1 factor bigger. The next thing we talked about is how we can use number facts to help us do questions, making sure that the number of decimals in the question when you're multiplying matches the number of decimals you put in your answer. If you're doing a division, we also talked about the fact that that will cancel decimals rather than adding new ones. So, so we can end up with less decimals in the answer. And finally, we talked about how we can use estimation when doing multiplications like this to see where the answer should be approximately. We can then strip away all decimals and just do the question without them, and then at the very end, put the decimals back in. So hopefully that's been useful. I've done my best to explain it as well as I can, but we've had some teething problems with things. So here is the information. Complete the worksheet in the link below. I strongly recommend with all my Key Stage 3 lessons, you go to the Corbett Maths 5 a day for today. Completing that every day will help you get you stronger. Type in Corbett Maths 5 a day, find the one that's right for you, and then work away at it each day. The answers are up there, and it will get you better and stronger at maths. Send any pictures you want, and I always have for all my lessons. You may not have been here this week, or it may be the first one you've done. I have a Taskmaster, which is anyone can enter the Taskmaster. It's just this week is when it will be judged. So it's before this Sunday, which is Sunday the 31st of January. Who can show me the most surprising thing you can pull out of a hat? Maybe it's a drawing, maybe it's a photo, maybe it's a little video. Send it to me. The more effort, the more points you score. I would love to see those entries and see what surprising things people can pull out of a hat. So, all that's left for me to say is, I've been Mr. Harris. You haven't. I hope you've learned something. Do pass, if you have felt that it's been useful, do save it, subscribe it, click on the link on the subscribe button to get more to find out when the next lessons are going to be. I normally do Key Stage 3 lessons every Wednesday and Friday, all the way through lockdown, and I'm doing Key Stage 2 lessons and Key Stage 1 lessons if you've got younger brothers and sisters on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I also do GCSE lessons for Key Stage 4 on a Friday and Wednesday as well. Take care, look after yourselves, and goodbye.